In today's video, I'll be sharing with you my experience as a foreign student studying abroad during the pandemic. Hello, my name is Moni and I make videos about my experience studying and living abroad in France. If you want to watch this type of content, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I previously made this video where I share with you my experience of spending quarantine alone, and today I'm going to talk more about my experience of spending quarantine alone for almost a year. I have been studying abroad in France for about 4 or 5 years now, and this year has been quite different from the previous ones because of the pandemic. In France, we have been into 2 lockdowns, and the first one started in March and lasted up till May. Then from May till November, we were free, but there were still restrictions. We were allowed to travel safely, wearing masks and, taking all the precautions. And then from November till December, we were in lockdown again, but this time it was less strict than the first one. So the first lockdown was a huge mess, I think, in general, because nobody knew what was going on, and we all had to adapt to this new way of living. I'll start sharing with you my hardships of studying abroad during the pandemic. Number 1, the isolation. Not being able to see my friends, my coworkers, my teachers. It was definitely hard. At that time, I was working at a radio station and we had to adapt everything to an online version. We did have a lot of events planned in March, but everything was canceled due to the pandemic, which was really sad because I was looking forward to those events that were going to be really fun to go to. Number 2, stress. Nobody was expecting for a pandemic to arrive, and I think we were all in disbelief because from one day to another, our lives totally changed, which is so crazy. When it comes to university, it was a huge mess. We had no clue what was going on for 2 weeks. The only thing that we knew is that teachers were adapting their classes to an online version. That was everything. We knew nothing else. And it was really frustrating because final exams in France take place at the end of April and beginning of May, which was really soon because it was almost the end of March and we had no clue what was going on. Like, if we were going to have online exams or we were still going to have classes. I had some teachers that uploaded a PowerPoint presentation with an audio, and I did have other teachers that just uploaded the PowerPoint presentation. I was really stressed out to see this because, what's the point of them sending us a PowerPoint presentation of something that we can find in books and not explain to us the slides? I just don't see the point, and it's just frustrating. It just makes you feel like they don't care, and it definitely has an impact in your motivation. I think for that class, I lost all of my motivation. Well, not all of my motivation because I wanted to validate that class, but I just didn't feel excited to learn about the subject, which is pretty sad because it's interesting, but it's just quite boring to read PowerPoint presentations. But that was basically what happened and my perception of the situation. Another thing that stressed me a lot was that I was not able to go outside without filling a form. So we had to write down or print a letter saying why we're going outside. It's basically like a contract. They do state at the beginning of the letter that according to the law, this and this and that, and then you write your name, your date of birth, your nationality, where you were born, your address, and then you checked the reason why you were going outside, and you had to sign it. Very formal. I have no idea why they did this. I still don't know because we still have to fill a letter every single time that we go outside. Although this time we do have an online version because the first time we had to print it or write it down by hand, which is something that I did because I was running out of ink. So I had to write it down by hand. I knew that I had to fill a form every single time that I went outside, and I just didn't have that energy to write down a letter every single time that I went outside. We were not allowed to erase the dates and all of that. We had to fill it out every single time. There was a lot of uncertainty. There's still a lot of uncertainty, but at that time it was, I think, the peak of my stress. Loneliness. Most of my time I have spent it in my 12-meter square student studio, which is pretty small. It's enough for one person, but spending almost a year in my room, it has had quite a huge impact in my mental health. Studying abroad during the pandemic is definitely another level. I get to interact very little with people. Last semester, I was only able to go to university for like a month, and then the second lockdown began in France. Again, we had online classes, but this time it was way more organized than the first lockdown. Something that I struggled most with was my Wi-Fi connection not working. At times, the teacher would be speaking, and out of the blue, I had no internet connection. I just had blank spaces in my notes because I didn't listen to what the teacher was saying. I had to ask my classmates for their notes just to see what I was missing and better understand the topic. I lost 1 month of my vacations. I was supposed to have my exams at the end of April, beginning of May, but because we were late in schedule, I had my exams at the beginning of June. People went crazy, and there was no toilet paper at supermarkets, as well as pasta, which is what I wanted to eat, and I had to go to different stores to go and find the products that I needed. It was very frustrating, but at the end, people started calming down, and in the second lockdown, this did not happen, which was great because then I could buy my groceries comfortably. Now, let's talk about the positive side of studying abroad during the pandemic. Number 1. Because I was working from home and studying online, I was able to concentrate in my blog. Number 2, creating my YouTube channel. I started a YouTube channel, 3 YouTube channels, which is fun, but sometimes it can be really stressful because it takes time. Sometimes you lose your files, sometimes you have to start all over again. When you spend like 5 hours editing, and starting all over again just doesn't sound like much fun, but it's something that happens sometimes. So it's definitely been a learning experience. I love being able to record videos for you about my travels after lockdown was over and my experience studying abroad, how you can also study abroad, find a study program, and all of that. I'm very thankful for the pandemic in that aspect. Number 3, I started taking online classes. I decided to create my own business, and I started an online class on how to create a business that I'm very passionate about and helps out other people. Also, I have been able to take other classes about social media, SEO, which is search engine optimization, and it basically allows you to reach out to your audience. Number 4, I decided to create my TikTok account. Surprisingly enough, my videos were getting more traction, and one of them hit 1.2 million views. Another thing was the government giving restaurant menus for €1. I have a video where I share with you my experience. If you want to go and check it out, I'll leave you the link in the description box. One thing that I really liked about my university was that they organized online activities, and I did participate to one of them because I was just losing a lot of motivation. I wasn't feeling great, and I needed to talk to somebody else, just at least one person. And I don't remember exactly what was the activity, but I think it was about the pandemic, like talking about our experience as students going through the pandemic by ourselves in our student studio. That workshop helped me a lot because it helped me realize that I was not the only one going through this. Of course, I was not the only one, but when you don't interact that much with people, you just don't know what other people are going through. Like, it's just really hard to just know, like, you know? From time to time, I did talk with my friends online. We did some Netflix parties. I talked with my family too online. And yeah, it was fun, not the same. I think if I had the choice to either see them in person, I would have rather do that. But we have to adapt, like, you cannot have it all. And it's quite risky to do like huge gatherings, or at that time it was very risky to see other people because we had very little information of the virus, and at the same time the hospitals were all full. Doing parties online was the way to go. After the first lockdown, I was able to travel, and I decided to go to Germany. I went to a summer festival in Munich. I actually have a video on my YouTube channel about 48 things to do in Munich. If you want to go and check it out, I'll leave you the link in the description box. I also went to Regensburg, Valhalla, Nuremberg. And the highlight of this pandemic was snow in Strasbourg. This is quite rare, so I was very happy with the snow. this is how my experience of studying abroad in France has been like. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Tell me in the comment section, how has your experience during the pandemic been like? Like, have you also struggled with some things? Have you found new hobbies? Did you start your own business during the pandemic? Tell me all about it in the comment section. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this one, and activate notification if you want YouTube to tell you whenever I upload a new video. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you on our next video.
Close my eyes so